All right, checking sound. Is everyone doing good? All right, well, thank you all for coming out. We know that it's been a hard week in Albuquerque and in central New Mexico with the fires, so appreciate you all coming out to get updates from our city leaders and some asks for the public about how they can help protect our open space. So I will hand it over to Mayor Keller to get us started.
All right, well, thank you everyone for being here today. And we wanted to touch on a couple of things in light of two situations in our city. Number one, we want to acknowledge, of course, 4th of July is on the horizon. And we're all very excited to celebrate our country and our freedoms. But we also know this can be a very touchy time at the city, especially with respect to all things, whether it's fireworks or forest fires and safety at large events. So of course, as we always are, we're planning for those things, and we're going to touch on those details specifically next Monday at a briefing for the public and for the media with respect to plans for the 4th of July. But we also know with the temperatures, although today's cloudy and it's supposed to rain a little bit, which is awesome, in general, of course, this is the high point for forest fires, and especially in the city of Albuquerque along the Bosque. And I know we have seen now at least 4, depending on how you count, 5 or 6 different forest fires that have come up in the Bosque, and our AFR teams, as well as partners, whether it's from Los Ranchos or Corrales or the county, have been able to deal with those. Of course, we have a much more difficult and dangerous situation a little bit south of here in Los Lunas, which AFR has also been helping out with. But that's the context with which why we wanted to spend some time today talking about what the city is doing about this issue. So we're going to hear from our experts in just a moment, but the first thing that I just want to mention is we are seeing a troubling sequence of man-made caused fires, human-caused fires in the Bosque. This is very dangerous, of course, for all sorts of reasons. Any fire is dangerous. But when you have the kind of situations that we have with the fire material and so forth all around this special place in our community, it's extremely flammable, and these are things that can be very difficult to control for us if they get out of hand. And that's why we try and control them right away. It's also why we try and prevent them. Now, we know that this is basically arson. So just to be clear, we absolutely investigate arson and we prosecute arson. I also want to be clear, there is no camping allowed in the Bosque, and we absolutely enforce that. The challenge is it's a big piece of land that is on 2 sides of a river where there's lots of places people can hide. So as we do every year, we want to ask for the public's help, and we're going to talk about how to do that. So here's first and foremost what we're doing is we're making sure that we have level 2 patrols right now from AFR. You're going to see their brush truck. You're also going to see the little kind of ATV type vehicles that are driving throughout the Bosque. We have a layered approach, so we have fire as the lead, but we also have our open space team of civilians. You're going to hear about what they do in the volunteer work that we also have for Bosque patrollers. We're taking more volunteers if the community and public is interested, and we'll walk you through how to do that. And then, of course, we have our open space unit at APD, which we brought back now a couple of years ago, and we're going to hear from them. I also want to highlight we, of course, have our boats on the Bosque. So both fire and police have fan boats that regularly patrol the Bosque when the water is appropriately at the right levels. And so we can see the Bosque essentially from 3 sides, right? From the outside looking in on both sides of the river, and from the river looking out, and they're running patrols through the Bosque. But it's a huge piece of land, and so we cannot do this alone. We always ask folks, please call 311 if you see anything suspicious in the Bosque. That is extremely important because this whole area is so dense and so large that we can't do this without the public's help. So we have learned over the years the best thing we can do to prevent fires, but to also keep the Bosque safe, is utilize the Bosque for recreation. We want the more people down here, the better. The more eyes inside the Bosque, the better. And don't ever think for a second that your call to 311 is not followed up on. Those are priority 1 calls that are immediately dispatched to our teams. And as you can see, we have enough crews, whether it's open space, police, or fire, to actually do this enforcement. What we don't have enough is enough eyeballs. And so that's why we need folks' help in the Bosque. So we want people to be safe. We also want people to be smart by helping us protect this beautiful space that truly is a defining characteristic of our city and a treasure that we all hold dear. But part of that is a responsibility to protect it. And that also means making sure that we call in suspicious activity that we see. Now, the last thing I would mention on this is, again, there's a very large stretch of Bosque, even in city limits. And some of these parts are actually really hard to get to, especially out on the west side of the Bosque. So we do want to remind folks, too, that there are components even where houses back up to the Bosque and so forth. So, for example, if you see a light at night in the Bosque, call it in because it might be a fire. And so those are the kinds of things we've got to look for. Last thing I would share is, again, just reiterating, we do have a zero tolerance policy. The only question is how fast we will get to people or how fast we will get to the fire. And what I described to you has been built up over the last few years. So I do want to close my remarks by just highlighting where we were, unfortunately, just as little as 5 years ago. We did not have an open space patrol. We also had an AFR team that didn't have enough brush trucks to patrol the Bosque, and we had a decimated open space unit at our parks department. That has all changed. And for the last 2 years, we have enough resources to actually keep the Bosque safe if the public will help us out. Okay, so with details on this, let's start with our fire chief, Emily Hartmeo.
Yeah. Thank you. All right, perfect. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Apologize in advance. We have quite a few updates for everybody, so this might be a little bit long. I want to start by just thanking everybody that has helped us with the amount of fires that we've had over the past week in the Bosque, in addition to us going down to help the firefighters in Las Lunas. This has taken a lot of time for our crews. These are not short incidents. They have to be on these scenes for a long time, and they've worked really hard to get them out quickly. Also, it's not something that we can do alone. Just like Mayor said, we worked with a lot of other responding agencies. So other local fire departments have assisted us: Rio Rancho Fire, Corrales, Bernalillo County Fire, Open Space, APD. Our airboat is in the shop, so APD brought their boat out to help us when we needed to get firefighters onto the water. And then even to the point that our partners at Parks were out after one of the fires, helping us, trying to volunteer more people out to look for any kind of suspicious activity. And with our fire here at Tingley, we even have been coordinating some training with our employees at the zoo, who were prepared to help protect the zoo with hoses if needed. So this really is an approach from multiple departments, and we can't do it alone. And just like Mayor said, we know that the Bosque is really important for the public, and all the eyes that we can have to help us watch out for this space is very important. My son is a frequent fisherman. He's 9 here at Tingley, and when we had the fire here, he was actually really worried about the fish. We had to have a conversation about the fish being probably pretty safe in the water, but I think that shows just how important this area is for all of our families, and it's important for us as first responders to protect it, but it's also because these are spaces that we enjoy with our families. So just like Mayor mentioned, we are in a level 2 patrol, which increases our patrols throughout the day. We have overlap. We have 3 units out that are patrolling our different open spaces around the city. We started level 1 patrols in May, on May 17th. So we usually, we bump up level 2 towards the end of June. We started it early because of the fires that we had last week. And so the patrols right now are focusing on the east side of the river from Central to Montano, where we've seen a lot of the activity. Next, I'm going to go through just the updates. This is where it gets a little lengthy, but just all of the different fires that we had. So it started on Tuesday last week when we responded to a brush fire on the south side of the Montano Bridge on the east side of the river. And then we had another fire on Wednesday, which was a brush fire that occurred on the north side of Montano Bridge, east side of the river. Then on Thursday early morning, we had a fire reported west of the river near Atrisco and Central. And then in the afternoon, that's when we had the fire here at Tingley on the east side of the bridge. Our AFR Wildland Task Force responded to all of these incidents, rapidly containing the fires before they escalated. And that is a tribute to our focus on our wildland division and all the apparatus that we've added to help with that response. And then on Friday, we had 2 AFR wildland units that assisted Bernalillo County Fire as mutual aid support for a brush fire in the South Valley. Saturday morning, AFR units provided mutual aid support near Alameda, the east side of the river, to Bernalillo County. And then in the afternoon, on Saturday, AFR Wildland Type 3 engine, which is engine 317, and engine 2 were sent down to assist the cotton fire in Las Lunas. So it's important for everyone to understand that we have enough resources here that when we do have fires in our surrounding neighborhood or surrounding area like in Las Lunas, that we're able to send resources down but not compromise our response here in the city. And actually, in addition to those 2 units being out, we actually have an ambulance at the Trout Fire, and then we are part of a team that's helping potentially with some swift water rescues at another location. And then to continue, our last incident that we had was on Sunday. That's when Valencia County experienced another start, which was designated as the Cotton 2. And as of yesterday morning, the fire has developed into a complex fire that's now named the Desert Willow Complex. And so this has now been turned over to State Forestry. So that's an update on all of the fires. I'm going to talk a little bit about the AFR response to understand how we're prepared to tackle all of this on top of our regular calls for service that we have. The rapid response by AFR helped prevent several fires from escalating. And so we have with us today some of our new engines. So the Type 3 engine is the one that we have that you'll be able to see after the conference. This is a engine that is really helpful with structural protection. And so we have added 2 more to our fleet this year, which helps us be able to deploy to help our neighboring jurisdictions, but then also be able to protect any fires that might arise in the city. Whether it's a structure fire, a Bosque fire, flood channel rescue, medical emergency, AFR is ready to handle whatever is going on in the city while we're helping our neighbors. And with that, I'm going to just touch a little bit on fireworks. I know we're going to talk about fireworks safety again on Monday, but right now, in addition to the arson that we have had to deal with this week, we're also starting to see illegal fireworks. And so it's really important for everyone to understand that all fireworks within the Albuquerque area that you see in the tents are regulated by our fire inspectors, and they're permitted for use. They're permitted for use within the city. So what you see, all of those little fireworks tents that are up in Albuquerque right now, we regulate all of those and make sure that they're legal for sale in Albuquerque. However, fireworks of all kinds are prohibited around the Bosque or open space areas. And the City of Albuquerque ordinance, it prohibits the sale of aerial fireworks and ground audible devices within the city limits. We understand that the 4th of July can be very frustrating for both our residents and firefighters that are dealing with illegal fireworks and APD. And so, but I just want people to understand that we are only able to regulate what's for sale within the city. We can't regulate where people go elsewhere in the state to buy fireworks. And with illegal fireworks, we'll touch on more of just how to determine if they're illegal or not illegal on Monday. But I want to make sure that people understand if you see them, to report them. We'll touch on how to report on them, I think, later in the press conference with 311. But it's really important to report them. We are able to issue cease and desist to addresses that are lighting off illegal fireworks, and we do start issuing those as soon as we start having those come in. So please make sure you're reporting, whether it be suspicious activity in the Bosque or any illegal firework activity, so that we can help address that. And with that, we'll hand it back to Mayor, or just go to the next. Sure. Okay, perfect. All right. So next we have, oh, sorry, it's ready there. All right, so next we have from APD, Lieutenant Chris Schroeder from the the Open Space Unit.
If you don't mind.
Yeah.
Makes it look a little more organized.
It's on the next page.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Again, I'm Chris Schroeder. I am with the Albuquerque Police Department. I am the lieutenant over the open space unit. My intention right now is to give you guys an update on the individual we got into custody on Saturday up near Alameda and the river area, and kind of ongoing investigations into that, and also to touch on and resonate what the mayor and chief explained about some of the prohibitions within open space. So as I said on the beginning, talking specifically about Saturday's incident with the individual, Sean Ryan Taylor is the individual's name, that was arrested in connection with the fire that was started at Alameda and the river. As of right now, there is a grand jury on Friday that will be held to determine whether or not there will be a true bill issued for indictment on the charges of the arson. We currently do have a backpack in our custody at our APD crime lab that we are waiting on approval from a judge to execute a search warrant on. So our intent hopefully is to uncover more evidentiary information out of that. I know one of the questions on everyone's mind is this individual responsible for all the other fires, as Chief just mentioned? As of right now, we don't have anything to connect him directly to those. So before that question comes up, figured I'd answer it. Further interviews with Mr. Taylor at this point is going to be contingent upon his agreement to speak to us with his legal counsel, because at this point he is covered under legal counsel. And also, for any fear of this individual coming out, maybe starting other fires, he is on preventative detention, and he will remain so until the conclusion of the grand jury that is set for Friday, as I mentioned. Just make sure there's nothing else I have for you guys here on that. So before I go on to some of the prohibited items within the Bosque, what I want to, again, just resonate is we have so many entities between APD, AFR, and some of our county partners as well as our Parks and Rec open space. We have a lot of eyes, but we can always use more. So as Mayor said, please come out, enjoy the open space, especially the Bosque, and that will in turn help us out keeping a better watch of everything that's going on. We do respond to these, whether it comes through 311, 242 cops, whatever that may be. Obviously, if it's a fire, please call 911. We all know how fast a fire can spread. So onto the actual prohibitions is just a reminder of what you can and can't do in open space. And these are all offenses which you will receive a citation for. First and foremost is camping. There is zero camping in the Bosque. I think we can all understand the reason for that being campfires typically go along with the camping. So outside of that, it has been our experience, and mine specifically, it's been in 5 years with open space, that a lot of other malicious activity ends up following some of the camping that occurs here in the Bosque. Firearms are always prohibited. At no time, unless in a law enforcement function, are firearms allowed within the Bosque at any point. As I mentioned with fires and camping, always going to be prohibited. But specifically what we've run into, my officers and I, is people bringing down a barbecue grill. Not a malicious intent anyway, but accidents can happen, spillage, whatever, or if winds pick up. I think you guys get the idea with that. So that's one of the prohibited items, or anything that can contain or generate a flame out of the Bosque. It's prohibited completely. As Chief also said, fireworks, right? 4th of July, we all see the tents popping up. That's completely prohibited in here as well. There's so many low-level dry fuels that can ignite really easily, which in part leads into smoking. Smoking is also prohibited within the Bosque. If someone flicks a butt that has embers in it, it's not going to take much for that to ignite any sources. Again, these are all offenses which are citable. My open space officers, they're conducting patrols through here very, very frequently, especially in the height of our fire season right now. So please make sure that you're abiding by these rules in here. If anyone wants an exhaustive list, you can always go to the city's website, cabq.gov. Through the Parks and Recreation tab, there's a specific section for open space, and it has what's allowed for not just all open spaces, but specifically the river as well in the Bosque area. And I just want to let you know what our continued efforts are, along with our partners with AFR, as well as, again, our Parks and Rec open space side of the house. We have currently, we brought in officers for extra patrols, trying to cover as much of the morning and evening as we can, as well as our air support unit. We have 2 air assets between the helicopter and utilizing some drones to spot check for camps or even problematic areas, which yesterday's patrol for just approximately 2 hours uncovered 16 potential camps. And the reason I say potential is some of them may be abandoned, we just don't know yet. But first thing this morning, I had some of our open space officers going to check on those just to ensure that we don't end up with the same kind of issues that we had. And along with that, we're contacting these individuals in these camps to also try and ascertain any information that we can in connection to the other fires that we know occurred as well. Outside of that, the last thing I'll leave you with is concluding this. There's actually a meeting with a lot of our entities in and around the Albuquerque area to include AFR, County Fire, County Fire, and County Sheriffs to come up with just beefing up patrols and making sure we can try to hopefully attain a 24/7 coverage if we can. It's going to be contingent upon manning, but that's our aim. So that is all I have at this point. So, MC, yes, sir.
All right, Dave, you got it.
Dave Simon.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Mayor. Mayor Keller has led a multi-year effort to invest in our city, in particular to protect and enhance so many aspects of our city that are critical to our quality of life and to our families. And this has included lifting up the capacity of our public safety agencies and the Parks and Recreation Department to give us the professional ability and resources to manage these areas in our care. And I think you have seen the physical results of the mayor's leadership on that in the past week in a very real way, in that our combined efforts between our AFR and APD have been exemplary. We have a nationally known fire department with a wildland fire program that is nationally known and respected in this region and nationally. And paired with our APD Open Space Conservation Unit, we have the professionals and the capacity better now than ever before to protect places like the Bosque. I want to thank the leadership of the city, the mayor, and the leadership of APD and AFR for developing these high-level professional units that reflect so well on our city. The fact that we had 4 fires break out in a short period of time and AFR jumped on, contained and extinguished those fires so quickly is proof of the years of effort in training, professional development, and investment that the city has made. Now, why is that so important? Because a tremendous amount is at stake here in the Bosque. Fires, in contrast to other ecosystems that we cherish and use in New Mexico, the Bosque is not a fire-adapted ecosystem. It did not develop with fire, and it does not benefit from fire like other types of ecosystems in New Mexico, such as higher mountain pine-dominated forests. Fire is an unmitigated bad impact on the Bosque. For starters, when fires occur here, in this time of year, they're occurring directly in nesting season, which is generally after April 15th. So it has direct impact on the diverse bird species in the Bosque. Many of the animals that populate the Bosque are small mammals. They don't move quite as fast. And with the development that fringes our Bosque, this wildlife has fewer places to go and to escape fire. Fire also cooks the soil of the Bosque. So it damages the soil, the life in the soil, and the structure of the soil, and then the impacts of fighting the fire, which are essential, cause further damage to the forest and the forest floor. So it becomes incredibly difficult now to recover. You have to put effort into recovering from a fire and restoring the bosque after these very, very detrimental impacts. Fire will also leave hazard trees in the forest of the bosque. These are tall, standing, but dead or dying trees, and they immediately present a safety hazard to the public that has to be addressed, and they're very, very costly to remove. So it's critical that the public understand the cost of fire in the bosque and that we prevent it at all costs. Now, one of the ways that we do that is by proactively doing fuel reduction and forest and bosque restoration projects here adjacent to the river. And this is a multi-year, decades-long effort to continually invest in forest management and bosque restoration. Most recently, about a little less than 2 years ago, we did a large fuel reduction project and a bosque restoration project in the Tingley area. Right where we're standing was part of that project. One of the fires that broke out last week actually was just on the river edge. It was just outside of the fuel reduction treatment area, which meant that it was right along the river edge where we were not allowed to treat during that project. But had that fire escaped further east into the fringes here, it would have met areas with significantly reduced fuels. That would have been a huge difference maker for AFR in their ability to contain and extinguish the fire. And then we have other projects planned and in development to continue fuel thinning and bosque restoration. In particular, we've already planned out a project due west of here on the west side of the river, basically between Central and Cesar Chavez, which will involve fuel reduction, forest thinning, and bosque restoration. We expect that project to start later this year once we are outside of the bird breeding season. Also, we have a project in development very close to where one of the fires was touched off on the east side of the river, north and south of Montano. That is an area that we've already identified as a priority area for treatment, and the city is on top of that and has a project already in the works, which we think will make a big difference going forward. So we need to continue to invest in those things. Now, the other ways that the public can obviously help, and Lieutenant Schrader mentioned this, and Chief Jaramillo, is the eyes and ears of the public in the bosque is crucial, a difference maker also for protecting the bosque. We invite the public to join any one of several volunteer corps that we have that help us preserve and protect the bosque. We have a program called Fire Watch, we have a program called Trail Watch, and we have a new program called the Bosque Stewards Program. All of these volunteer cadres come with training to equip the public to help us be stewards of our open space lands, in particular in the bosque. We just recently graduated 8 new volunteers from our Fire Watch program, and those volunteers are going to be delegated and directed to also be patrolling the bosque during this critical fire season. And the Bosque Stewards Program, which is the newest of our volunteer cadres, has just graduated its first 15 volunteers, with another 15 set to train next week. So that right there is a total of 38 Burqueños who stepped forward to invest in protecting the city that they love and the bosque and open space lands that we cherish so much. Now, in addition to the human resources that are crucial, the city is now employing more sophisticated technology to protect the bosque and detect and combat forest fire. Lieutenant Schrader mentioned the use of some of that technology to identify encampments. We are currently also piloting a project that is, we hope will be installing heat and smoke detection sensors here in the Bosque. This pilot project actually detected the fire that occurred last week down here at Tingley. It detected that fire from over half a mile away through a heat signature that the fire created. And the early indications are this technology is going to be useful and successful in the Bosque. And we look forward to moving from a pilot project to one in which we have multiple heat and smoke sensors that help be force multipliers to prevent and fight fire in the Bosque. In conclusion, again, I just want to thank our partners from AFR, APD, and the leadership of the mayor that has enabled us to improve our efforts and protect this sacred place for present and future generations. Thank you. Dave Simon, Director of the Parks and Recreation Department.
All right. Well, after we have time for a few questions, and then Chief Jaramillo mentioned the Type 3 engines. We have one of those here that you can get B-roll of, and the firefighters can explain how those trucks work. But we're happy to take some questions if you have them. We'll start with Faith from 7.
Hi, how are you? Just a quick question. I know you guys are trying your best and you're asking for an extra set of eyes, the public's help and what have you. And I know the Bosque is pretty big, but have you guys ever considered perhaps surveillance cameras? Obviously not on the trees, but I don't know if that's been a thing or is possible. We have viewers that have even brought that into question, but if they can give you guys directly, because over the past few days, extreme fires have just gotten out of control. The one in Los Lunas, Valencia, the guy's name, I think it was the chief, he was telling us that they do believe it's human cost. And then this one last Thursday, I know that's still under investigation. Then Sean Taylor, he's linked allegedly to, arson. So, has that even come up?
Yes.
Is it possible?
So the question from Faith at Channel 7 is about the interest, or if the city's explored cameras or other surveillance techniques to help add a layer of protection, and we'll hand this over to the mayor.
Sure. That's always something that we know it's worked in other parts of the city, right? This has been a hallmark of our public safety efforts as technology. The challenges with cameras in the Bosque are twofold. Number one, it would just take too many, like 10,000 cameras, because there's no line of sight. So unlike a normal cityscape, if there was a camera here, you're only getting coverage of, this tiny, 60 square foot area. So it's totally impractical, unfortunately. And that's just the city of Albuquerque, when you think about Los Lunas and otherwise. However, the point about technology is spot on. And that's why I want to emphasize that we're piloting heat sensors. And so what Dave Simon mentioned from Open Space, these heat sensors actually worked. So far our pilot was a success. We do want to have heat sensors in all of the Albuquerque Bosque. And so that's what we're piloting, how that might work right now. In those, because the range is at least a half mile, we could actually feasibly do that.
Right. And that's, thank you, by the way, that goes into my next question. So just to make sure I'm hearing correctly, the heat and smoke sensors, that's pretty much underway. You guys are testing it now, and it detected the fire last week.
Yes.
Oh, all right, cool. Thank you.
And then Lieutenant Schroeder had shared, but APD does have technology to have some eyes from the air, so utilizing helicopters and drones to give additional eyes over the Bosque.
That's how they caught the Sean Taylor guy, right? The drones with the help of...
We saw him first.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It was part of the investigation. Luis from Telemundo.
Can you guys just clarify a little bit when people should call 311 or 911 in case of situations?
Yeah, absolutely. So anytime you see smoke or fire, immediately call 911. We're obviously talking about fires, but if there's other emergencies, critical incidents, please call 911 right away. If there's suspicious activity, you're concerned about something, we encourage the community, please call 242-COPS. And then 311 is any non-critical needs in the Bosque. reporting an encampment, trash, graffiti, those things should all be directed to 311. Justin from the Journal.
Just to understand, so you suspect that all 4 of the fires that AFR primarily responded to were human starts?
Yes.
Can you provide more details about that? Or do you suspect those were potentially set with malicious intention, or do you suspect that those were like accidental starts, or can you just kind of give us some context on those?
Do you wanna, well, yeah, so the question, just for the cameras, it is suspected that the 4 fires in the Albuquerque area of the Bosque were human started, and the question is, was it accidental or was there malintent? So we'll hand this over to Chief Jaramillo.
So anytime there's an investigation into wildfires in general, it's pretty complex. There were multiple ignition points in those fires, which leads us to believe that they're reasonably believe that they were human caused, rather than if there was like a lightning strike or something like that. As of right now, we're cooperating with APD and kind of working together to investigate, because we have to make sure there's obviously enough evidence if we're going to try to link those to an individual. But as of right now, we have our investigators cooperating with APD on those.
And is this a higher than normal at this point in the year compared to previous years? Is this a higher than normal level of starts, or is this about on par with what you guys normally see in this area?
So this would this kind of cluster of fires all in this week is higher than what we're normally used to seeing. Having that many, especially with kind of normal weather conditions, it was hot, dry, not windy, but we didn't have rain or lightning where we could maybe assume that we might get some strikes from lightning that were causing them.
All right, well, thank you folks for coming out. We'll do a Spanish pull aside for Telemundo, and then anyone that would like to will head over with the fire department towards the entrance and can get some B-roll of the Type 3 engine.
And the UTV.
And the UTV, yes, thanks, Chief. Thank you all for coming.